Seated, please. Be seated, please. The member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Premier, I have a letter from the Trent Gervais, the manager of the Peterborough Airport, expressing his strong objections to the approved Sumac Ridge wind turbine project. This airport is a great source of economic development for not only my riding of Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes Brock, but for the city of Peterborough. It boasts the longest paved runway between Ottawa and Toronto at an astounding 7,000 feet. Millions of dollars have been invested by all three levels of government to see this airport grow. Seneca College's School of Aviation opened its doors there in January, and it's expected to generate $12.32 million of economic activity in the community each year and support 151 jobs. With Seneca and 5 other flight schools operating out of the Peterborough Airport, the safety of new pilots is now at risk because of the siting of this wind turbine project. Since the Minister of Rural Affairs won't stand up for the people in his riding of Peterborough, I'm standing here today on behalf of his—
Stop the clock, please. Stop the clock, please. I've made a comment about this before, about talking about other people's ridings. I would caution the member not to do that again. Please finish your question. We have time for wrap-up.
Will you stop the Sumac Ridge project and let the Peterborough Airport get back to the business of creating the much-needed jobs?
Minister of Energy.
Mr. of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, the member knows that FIT contracts, renewable contracts, allow for termination only in cases where project developers do not meet their contractual obligations. And the OPA could be subject to legal action if it terminates FIT contracts for projects which have met their obligations. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, there is a process, an environmental process, and an appeal to that environmental process, Mr. Speaker, to deal with issues. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition, in his Million Jobs Act, has indicated that he would give the Minister of Energy authority to cancel those contracts.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, that would expose the provincial government to over $20 billion.
Member from Simcoe Grey, I asked you twice.
We're not prepared to do that. We are prepared to adhere to the environmental process, the appeal process, Mr. Speaker.
Answer.
And I will hopefully be able to refer the supplementary to the Minister of the Environment on that issue.
The member from Prince Edward Hastings will come to order. Supplementary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. To whichever minister is going to take the next question, I guess. There's lots of, certainly Ministry of Environment outs for that contract. I asked the Premier on Monday to call a moratorium on wind turbines, to which he responded the Liberal government has, and I quote, put new rules in place and that you would give communities more input on siting. In the letter from the manager of the Peterborough
Attorney General, come to order.
He says these wind turbines are threatening the success of this business, putting up barriers to job creation and risking the safety of flight patterns and approaches. It's kind of important. So your government clearly did not have the necessary guidelines and regulations in place before citing this project. So you claim your government has new rules in place. Why is it that you cannot listen to this community, like you said you would, and cancel the wind turbines at the Sumac Ridge?
Just do the right thing. Cancel the project.
Minister of Energy.
Minister of the Environment.
Minister of the Environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Of course, there is a process which has been established to allow people to have the appropriate input on matters of this kind. The proponent has to go through a very rigorous regime to ensure that that proponent would be in compliance with the regulations set out by the Ministry of Energy and by the Ministry of the Environment.
Exactly.
And I am confident that all aspects of this issue will be dealt with appropriately through the process. Ministry of the Environment officials and indeed officials of other ministries which provide comments in these circumstances are always pleased to hear from those who have views to express and are respectful of those views being expressed by those individuals and give serious consideration to them. So I encourage all to participate in that process, ensure that those views are put forward, and I can tell you that they will be considered seriously, as they always are.
Thank you. New question. Member from Nickel Belt.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Ma question pour